Good morning. Welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Greidick, your host. Delighted to have you with us on this beautiful Monday morning. We're also on Facebook Live, and we're very delighted to have back in studio for a return of he agreed to come back. Can you believe that? Shannon Kristen, Superintendent of Bremen City Schools, was with us last. And so if I can get you closer to the mic, Shannon. Just a little background on Shannon. I pulled this off the LinkedIn page. He's been Bremen City School Superintendent since July of 2022. Prior to that, he was the Chief Financial Officer for Lumpkin County School System. He was with Bucks County Schools for 6 years, Assistant Superintendent of Operations there, and Executive Director of Operations. He was with Carroll County Schools for 8 years and 2 months at Central Middle School. How about that? Graduate of Jacksonville State University, go Gamecocks, the educational specialist, and a Master's of Science in Educational Administration. We're here to talk all about Bremen City Schools, Bremen Blue Devils, and get an update on what's going on there. So good morning, Shannon.
Good morning. Good to be back.
Well, good to have you back. Thank you for agreeing to come back in. I didn't scare you off, so I'm proud of that. So there's hundreds of topics I'm sure we could talk about, but I'll let you start it off. Tell us what's the latest, greatest going on with Bremen City Schools.
Well, Steve, Saturday we hosted the 3A and 6A Georgia Literary State Championships. Our kids compete in 3A. We were proud to host both and excited to announce that for the 10th consecutive year, really I should say the 10th straight championship was won by the Bremen Blue Devils, and we are very, very excited about that. It actually is the longest current streak in GHSA sanctioned events in the state of Georgia.
I'm a math guy, so I have no clue. Literary state, how's that work?
So students are competing in things from writing to speaking to song to performing. It's quite impressive. I was able to be they trusted me to be a timekeeper for international extemporary speaking, and it is quite amazing. If I could say, so students come up on the day of the event, choose an international topic. They're given 7 minutes to write a speech, or at least notes for a speech, on a card. They're allowed to have one card, and then they get up and they have to speak, and they have up to 7 minutes to do so. There's a whole lot of pressure on a high school kid, and I'm just going to say there are some amazing students in this state of Georgia, and that the fact that Bremen City Schools has for 10 years in a row, minus the COVID year, and I would say we would have won that one too. But our kids are amazing, and they perform in all those different events.
So being able to speak and being and that talent and develop that skill is lifelong advantage.
It is. We talk about literacy a lot. The state of Georgia legislators are talking about literacy a lot, and we've been defining that in Bremen City Schools, and just being able to read and write is not what we consider being a literate graduate of Bremen High School. We want you to be able to read for understanding, question, form your own opinions, be able to write about that. But that's not all. We want kids who can walk across the stage and be able to, do like you and I today, have some dialogue. Perhaps you and I will disagree on something, but do so in a clear and concise way. Sharing thoughts, being able to listen to one another. And do it without, don't do the Facebook method, throwing bombs at each other, but have an intellectual conversation and do so in a respectful way.
Well, that sort of brings me to the cynical question. How do you do that in a world where the kids their face seems to be plugged right directly into the cell phone?
I think it's just a larger challenge than it has ever been. But challenge it is, and we accept those challenges. We have some of the best teachers in the country at Bremen, some of the best students, but we also have mamas and daddies who believe in what we're doing and support it. And, we're not going to shy away from a challenge.
Are there restrictions on campus for the use of cell phones?
It differs by grade level. Would we like to be able to just have kids leave them at home? Would there be fewer distractions? Absolutely. But electronics and technology has changed over time. It's really the same challenge it's always been. When I was in school, I was hiding a cord to my Walkman in my jacket so I could listen to the radio. In school and getting in trouble for that. There have been distractions for a long, long time, and so some of our very, very best teachers, kind of turn those distractions on their head and have students use them in the classroom. So
we won't talk about cassette players, but anyway, you mentioned something which I think Bremen has. I've always kind of got the sense that you mentioned the parental involvement. That's a big deal at Bremen, is it not?
It is. We brag all the time. You're right in front of me. I'm looking at some rankings in the state of Georgia. The districts with the best teachers in Georgia, of the 181 districts, Bremen is number one, fourth best district in the state of Georgia overall. You do not get those rankings without parental support. Our schools are a representation of our community, and our community supports education. They believe in what we do. They oftentimes the moms and daddies are sending students to us in kindergarten and pre-K who have always already been read to and are ahead of the game. If you get an athlete or a performer who's already who already has a head start before they get to us, then it just makes us even stronger in the classroom.
How do they do that? Is it through clubs? Is it through helping with the homework? Is it coming to events, or is it all of the above?
It is all of the above. I don't know that I could do it justice just listing the ways that our parents support. It's anything from making sure our students have the resources that they need, to reinforcing the things that we're doing in the classroom in one way or another. Our mamas and daddies are amazing, and it takes that and the community involvement and our restaurants and businesses in town who support us and our fabulous teachers. All of those things play integral parts in our success.
Before we go to our first break, we got a press release. Mr. Silas Brown was named Director of Students School Support beginning in July. What is that role, and tell us about this individual?
Mr. Brown is one of our very, very strong, talented, experienced educators in Bremen, and he's been the principal at Jones Elementary School for 7 years now. And we're calling him up. We need his influence at the district level, and he's going to wear many, many hats, so to speak. We're a small school district, so we don't have we have all the same requirements as a large school district, but we have fewer people to do it with. And so he's going to be responsible for federal programs, special ed, our student discipline, safety and security's become a bigger topic and a bigger responsibility than ever for schools, and he's going to be leading that for us. He's going to be in charge of our transportation department, and so Mr. Brown has experience in almost all of those areas, and we think he's going to help us refine and do new things across the board in those areas.
Well, let's go ahead and mention that, because I was going to ask you about that. School safety is an issue. We hear that a pretty good bit. But now you have school resource officers, correct?
We do.
Yeah. Tell us about who they are and their roles.
So we've had one school resource officer for a while, and that's in partnership with the city of Bremen and Chief Pesnell at the police department. And because of support from our Board of Education, mamas and daddies asking for it, we added 2 additional school resource officers. So on our 3 school campuses, we now have a resource officer full-time, and so that couldn't have been done again without the partnership with the city of Bremen, and they are on campus on a daily basis, patrolling, walking around doing safety checks, keeping our students and staff safe. We're proud of their efforts.
Give us a. I said I was going to take a break, but we'll do it in a minute. Give us a description about the campus, the buildings, how everything's kind of structured. We have an academy, I think, is the 4th and 5th grades.
That's correct.
Give us and of course we had the massive renovation in the last few years. Kind of give us a campus description, if you will. So
Jones Elementary School is pre-K through 3. And that campus, as I mentioned before, is currently led by Mr. Silas Brown, and so they do phenomenal work. Our academy is 4th and 5th grade, and our middle school is 6, 7, and 8. They are on the same campus.
Which is separated by just, what, a couple miles? Or
no, they're actually in the same building with one principal, and
okay.
That's Mr. Brian Evans. But they do have separate front offices, separate support staff, and so Mr. Evans runs both of those campuses. They share a cafeteria, so he and 2 assistant principals are in charge of that building. And then we have a traditional high school, 9 through 12. A lot of renovations have been done there in the last year.
How's that working
really
out?
Proud of it. Fabulously. I mean, we still have some older portions of the building, but the construction and the design of the new pieces kind of fit in seamlessly. We have a new courtyard area that we're real proud of, and also a new field house that our athletes use throughout the day for weight training, and also it serves as a field house for events and athletics.
New gym too.
The gym, we had the old round gym
right.
In Bremen, and I want to say, this was before my time. I think that in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, the new gym was built to replace the
when was the
round gym.
Performing Arts Center built?
You catching me? You catch me?
Okay, because I was a little bit before your time. But when you design a new high school building, we mentioned school safety. You take a lot of things in consideration now that weren't taken, 30, 20, 40 years ago, whatever. Right? I mean, efficient.
That's right. I mean, a lot of large campuses are not able to keep kids inside of a building between classes. You sometimes have buildings to navigate outdoors. So we have that at Bremen High School. We have students who walk across Laurel Street to get to the Performing Arts Center for band and chorus and drama classes. And so we have to manage all that. We have added fencing that we didn't have a few years ago, and controlled access where we can keep our doors locked as much of the day as possible, and ID badges and strategic alert system. There are a lot of safety components that have been added to our campuses.
Our guest this morning is Shannon Kristen, Superintendent of Bremen City Schools, and we're talking all things Bremen City Schools. We'll be back with more after this.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
The Entrepreneur Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined curriculum-based track to acquire essential knowledge and skills for success in business and leadership. Critical areas include identifying entrepreneurial characteristics, selecting a value position, and business model development. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Good morning, welcome back to Community Voice. I'm Steve Ruddick, your host. Shannon Kristen, Superintendent of Bremen City Schools, is in studio. We've got, we're on Facebook Live. Dan Ditson says, hey, Mr. Christian was one of my favorite principals when I was at Central. He's the best of the best. And then some lady named Holly Presnell, Have you ever heard of her?
Absolutely. Dan and Holly are wonderful folks.
Great guy. Worked with him years ago. This is Holly. Great guy. Worked with him years ago doing prevention programs for health ed. Well, let me ask you about this, because this always fascinates me. Bremen City Schools is an independent school district. When I came here to West Georgia eons ago, in the many, many years ago, across the state of Georgia, there were 36, as I remember, independent school districts. Now there are 21. Are basically independent school districts going away, or what's the story there?
Well, honestly, the independent part has dropped, and a number of years ago, schools in Georgia were encouraged to either adopt a charter or a strategic waiver route, and we are a strategic waiver school system. Bremen is, and so schools could also stay what was considered status quo. I think there might be 2 of those remaining in the state of Georgia. So Bremen is considered a strategic waiver school system.
So in a more simplistic manner, are we saying that these smaller independent systems are being absorbed into these large mega schools, if you will?
For the most part, we still operate the way we have always operated. The charter.
So there's no threat there to Bremen City. And Carrollton's independent too, I believe.
I can't speak to Carrollton. I think that they might be a charter school system.
Oh, okay.
There are more charters now in the state of Georgia than strategic waiver school systems.
So does that kind of explain the shift a little bit?
Well, it did give us some flexibility. So both charter and strategic waiver school systems were able to apply for some flexibility, and that came typically in the form of being able to waive, for instance, the seat time for students in a school year, or requirements for certification for teachers, and some other things related to pay also. A school system could waive the restriction of the state pay scale for educators, and so there were a number of waiver options for schools.
Now, on the website, if this number is current, probably is, it says 27% Bremen City School students are on a tuition basis. They're
Correct.
From outside the district. They pay. How much is that tuition?
It is $2,250 per student for an individual student per year.
Okay, and so basically almost a third are coming from outside, coming in. Now, why is that?
27%, I think, or just over, is what we started the year with this year. Steve, we have a lot of good things going, and we attract both students and staff, and so we also have a small school environment, which allows us to be more personable.
What's your student-teacher ratio?
It depends on the class, but typically it's around 17 to 1. I'd say.
So that's superior to others, some others.
We're in the same neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't say we're far off from the school systems around us.
Well, I mean, we all have heard stories of people moving to Bremen specifically. I can't get it out for the school system. Is that common in your?
It is. I mean, we have a wait list for students right now. We try to keep that number reasonable for class size purposes, but also we don't have a tremendous amount of space to grow classroom wise, and so we offer a lot of things. If your child likes to sing or speak or dance, I would say 10 straight literary state championships is pretty attractive. Our academics are always in the top 5 in the state of Georgia, and so I just think moms and dads are just like me. I mean, I want my daughter to have the best, so we attract some of the best.
We hear, I got two questions that kind of move to the state and national, but on the national level, we always hear stories about the curriculums, the academics, things going on that you would think only occur in Southern California.
Right.
Is that a fair assumption that that woke culture type of mentality is not found in school systems around here?
Well, I'll go back to what I said earlier. Our schools are a reflection of our communities. And so if, I would say generally if your community is displaying some of those things that you see magnified in the news, then your schools will as well. We have a long tradition, and when I say we, I'm going to include the entire West Georgia area. You mentioned earlier I started my career I started my career in Villa Rica. I spent actually 14 years in Carroll County schools. Proud of that time there, but I have a pretty good working knowledge of the people and the kinds of schools we have in this area, and it's our schools are very value centered, and we have a lot of traditions that remain, and I'm very proud and would defend what we're doing in the classrooms and what we're instilling in our children here in West Georgia.
On the state level, last couple of years has gotten a lot of attention. Has passed apparently, both the Senate and the House. Senate Bill 233, which establishes the Georgia Education Authority, allowing upon application $6,500 from the state to go to a student who should choose to go to a private independent school. It will pay for some of the supplies necessary for homeschooling. What's your? It appears that it's set to be signed by Governor Kemp, but now it only applies, because I read the bill, it only applies to the lower 25% of schools in the state. So what's your interpretation of the legislation?
Well, I could get on a soapbox, Mr. Graddick, on some of these, but I'm a longtime public education guy. I was educated in public schools, proud of that. Personally, I have some concerns about this bill. I am also very concerned about where my tax dollars go. So generally speaking, here are the things that cause me to question this bill. It has been advertised as an opportunity for parent choice. However, it does not allow parents to choose from any of the public school options in the state. In other words, they'll allow a student to receive, parents of a student to receive a check for $6,500, but you can only take it to a private school to do that. It would not allow a mom or a daddy to take their $6,500, for instance, to Bremen, one of the best school systems in the state. So that makes me question what they really mean by we're providing parent choice. Another concern that I would have is that $6,500 comes with zero accountability. Public schools in Georgia have to follow strict testing requirements and a number of other things, accounting, audits, and that's the way it ought to be. Yours and my tax dollars, we should be able to ask questions and know where that money goes.
But now private independent schools still have to provide testing to the state, correct?
No, sir.
They don't, but homeschoolers do. Is that right?
They don't have to follow this. Unless you're a public school, you do not have to administer the Georgia Standards of Excellence. Was this incorporated, though, into this legislation? I think I vaguely remember something about that. There is no comparison of test scores that can be made between public and private.
Okay.
And so, where will our tax dollars be spent is the question. And so I will say superintendents like myself have been accused of being scared of competition, and that's absolutely not the case. We will gladly compete on a playing field in the classroom with anybody else who wants to come and stand beside us and compete. Carroll County Schools, Carrollton City, Hurd, Harrelson, Bremen, we're all alike. We love to compete, but make us play by the same rules as the competitor we're going to have to play against. Mm-hmm. And that's not what they're doing with this bill.
Well, my takeaway was the Georgia Education Authority is a whole nother department bureaucracy, and it's going to be cumbersome. I think you can read the bill, and
Yes, sir.
it becomes evident that that's the case. All right, our guest this morning is Shannon Kristen, Superintendent of Bremen City Schools. We'll be back with more after this.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
Oak Mountain Academy is an innovative school of academic excellence celebrating over 61 years. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to join us on the mountain to see our mission and vision in action. Academic excellence, a faith-based environment, and dynamic opportunities are just a few of the reasons our families choose Oak Mountain Academy. Academic scholarships and tuition assistance are available. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
All right, good deal. Welcome back. Shannon Kristen, Superintendent of Bremen City Schools. We've only got a couple minutes left. Have we recovered from COVID yet in education?
I'm not sure I understand
Say
the question.
Okay. COVID-19. Yeah.
Yeah,
we've moved
on. We've moved on from COVID.
What kind of damage, lingering damage, if any?
You know, I think we all hit a speed bump, so to speak. You know, students were separated from their teachers, and you know, if anytime you do that, even on a summer vacation, students regress some, and so we're just back in the game. You know, we're happy to have students back in front of teachers and educating them. And in Bremen, you know, we're not settling for trying to get a student from third grade proficiency to fourth grade. We want students to gain more than a year in a year's time. And so, you know, back when we were talking about the effects of COVID, there was this focus on, well, how do we catch kids up? You know, that's what we're all trying to do. It doesn't matter if it's Bremen or Butts County or Lumpkin County, Carroll County, you name it. Our best teachers are trying to push kids as far as they can in a year's time. They don't just cut it off when the students got all the third grade standards down, so to speak. They try to get kids ahead. And so that's how we recover. I think we are showing signs of recovery.
If someone wants to learn more about the Bremen City Schools, how should they go about it?
Give us a call. Come see us. We give tours quite frequently. Parents can go on our website. I think there's a button that says Take a Tour. And so we provide additional information, invite students to come spend a day with us, walk mamas and daddies and kids around. We're proud to show our facilities and show what we're doing.
Our guest this morning has been Shannon Christian, Superintendent of Bremen City Schools. We thank Oak Mountain Academy and Tanner Health System for their sponsorship. Go out and make it a great day. You're in tune to WLBB Carrollton.